Standing at the end of 2025, a lot of us are left with some baggage and bitterness from this year. In this 8-minute Bible study, we're going to discover that biblical hope isn't a passive feeling that hits you when circumstances get better. It is an active discipline and a deliberate choice you make while dealing with this baggage and this bitterness.
And you know how it is. The ball drops, the confetti flies, and suddenly the whole world is shouting Happy New Year. And there's this huge pressure, right? A pressure for a totally fresh start, for this relentless optimism. But what if your heart just isn't there yet? What if you're dragging some of last year's baggage with you? Well, today we're going to look at an ancient text that gives us a completely different and maybe a more honest way to move forward. New Year, New May. We all know that phrase, don't we? It's like this unspoken rule for January 1st. You gotta reinvent yourself. The idea is that as soon as that clock hits midnight, poof, the slate's wiped clean and everything is supposed to feel instantly better. But that's just not how life works, is it? For so many of us, the calendar flipping a page doesn't magically erase the grief or the loss or the disappointments we're still working through. You can't just flip a switch on pain. So what do you do when you feel like you're still stuck in the rubble of what's behind you? Well, our guide for this actually comes from a pretty surprising place. Okay, let's dive into this. Our guide, believe it or not, is the Old Testament book of Lamentations. Yeah, the name itself doesn't exactly scream Happy New Year, and honestly, that's kind of the whole point. This book was written right after a complete national catastrophe, the total destruction of Jerusalem. And it's right here, smack in the middle of all that wreckage, that we find one of the most powerful messages of hope in the entire Bible. See, the entire book of Lamentations is what's called a kina. It's basically a funeral song. It's not trying to deny pain, it's a deep, poetic, gut-wrenching dive into the pain. The author, who we traditionally believe is the prophet Jeremiah, is processing the absolute collapse of his entire world. And he starts with just raw, unflinching honesty. Just listen to those words for a second. He isn't saying, all right, I'm going to forget the past and just move on. He's doing the exact opposite. He says, remember, my soul continually remembers. He is staring his suffering right in the face. This isn't about avoiding it, it's about acknowledging it. He's naming the bitterness.
And you know, these aren't just fancy poetic words. Wormwood and gall were actual substances, and they were known for being intensely bitter, even associated with poison. So what Jeremiah is saying is that the memory of his trauma literally tastes like poison in his soul. It's such a powerful, gut-level description of what it feels like to carry deep pain.
So here's the crucial thing to get. Lament isn't just wallowing in sadness. It's actually a spiritual discipline. It's this form of holy honesty before God. It's the act of taking that bitter, poisonous memory, and instead of letting it eat you up from the inside, you convert it into a prayer. You're basically saying, God, this hurts so much, and I'm bringing all of it to you. This is the essential first step. And now, right after hitting rock bottom, after plumbing the absolute depths of his sorrow, Jeremiah makes one of the most dramatic turns you'll find anywhere in Scripture. And here's the key. He doesn't wait for his feelings to change, he makes a choice. This one little phrase, right here from verse 21, this is the turning point of the entire book. Everything hinges on this, but this I call to mind. After remembering all the bitterness and the poison, he makes a deliberate, conscious decision to remember something else. This, right here, is the engine of biblical hope. And this just completely reframes how we usually think about hope, right? We tend to think of it as a passive feeling, something that just happens to us when our circumstances get better. But the Bible presents hope as an active discipline. It's a choice you make with your will. It's deliberately interrupting your own anxiety to preach truth to your own soul, no matter how you feel or what's going on around you. So, if hope is a choice, then what is it based on? What is this truth that Jeremiah decides to call to mind to fuel his hope? Well, it's not wishful thinking. It is the unshakable, unchanging character of God himself. He builds his hope on these three foundational pillars. Number one, God's steadfast love. Number two, the promise of new mercies every single morning. And number three, God's great faithfulness that holds it all together. All right, let's break these down real quick.
So that first pillar is hesed. This Hebrew word is so rich it's hard to translate. It's not just affection, it's this covenant loyalty. It's a stubborn, relentless, never gonna give up kind of love. Jeremiah is looking at the ruins of his city and saying, the only reason we weren't completely wiped off the map is because of God's hesed. And for the Christian, this love is seen most clearly at the cross, where Jesus was consumed so that we would never have to be.
And this leads right into the second pillar, and it's probably one of the most famous lines from the whole book. God's mercies, they aren't some finite resource that you can use up. No, they're a fresh supply, delivered to you every single day.
And get this, the word used here for mercies is rahamim. It actually comes from the Hebrew word for womb. So this isn't some cold judicial pardon. It's a deep, nurturing, almost motherly compassion. It's the kind of care that sustains life, that protects life, and you get a fresh dose of it every single day.
I really want you to let this sink in as you think about the new year. This promise just completely dismantles anxiety. You don't need grace for the whole next year right now. You just need the mercy that God has already supplied for this morning. Not for next week, not even for tomorrow, but for right now. All of yesterday's mistakes, yesterday's struggles, they did not exhaust God's supply of grace for you today. It's brand new.
Okay, so after he's acknowledged the pain and then made the choice to hope in God's daily mercy, Jeremiah brings it all home with one final bedrock declaration about where his true security is found.
This is really the climax of the whole thing. After losing absolutely everything, his home, his nation, his security, he makes this incredible statement: "The Lord is my portion."
Back in the ancient world, your portion was your inheritance. It was your land, your wealth, your entire future. It was everything. So Jeremiah looks at his empty hands, at the rubble all around him, and he declares that God himself is his inheritance. His security isn't found in what God gives him, but in God himself.
And this is the ultimate reorientation for a new year, isn't it? It's about stopping the habit of measuring your success or your security by your achievements or your stuff or even your relationships. It's about anchoring your identity in this one truth: the giver is always, always greater than the gifts. Just being close to him is the ultimate prize.
So, what does all this mean for us, right now as we step into this new year? Let's try to distill all this ancient wisdom into a practical mandate, something we can actually do in the days ahead.
Here it is. 4 things. First, acknowledge the past. Give yourself permission to be honest about what was lost. Second, choose hope. Remember, not as a feeling, but as a discipline you practice, based on who God is. Third, rely on today's mercy. You have a fresh supply of grace that is tailor-made for whatever you're facing this morning. And finally, number 4, declare your inheritance. Anchor your soul by reminding yourself over and over that the Lord himself is your all-sufficient portion, and he is greater than any circumstance.
Okay, so as we wrap this up, how do we take this framework with us? How do we make this a way of living as we step into 2026? Well, a lot of people see this as a kind of daily discipline. It's really 3 steps. First, you consciously release yesterday. You let it go. Second, you acknowledge that today is a genuine fresh start, a gift. And third, you actively choose to put your hope not in what you can see around you, but in the promise of that unfailing faithfulness.
The strength to move forward this year, it doesn't come from your resolutions or your willpower. It comes from his constancy. Your feelings are going to change, your circumstances will definitely change, but the foundation under your feet, that will not. Great is his faithfulness.
At the end of the day, the lesson from Lamentations is that hope isn't a feeling we wait for, it's a discipline we practice. It's a choice we make about where we put our focus. It is the active, conscious decision to call to mind the faithfulness of God, especially when everything around us feels like it's falling apart. So the question for all of us as we begin 2026 is simply this: when life gets hard, what truth will you choose to call to mind?
Wishing you and your loved ones a blessed 2026. Until next time.